You have prayed many times. You have asked, pleaded, and hoped. And perhaps you have wondered why some prayers seem to dissolve into silence, while others unfold with such natural certainty that you barely remember asking. The difference has never been in the prayer itself. It has been in the feeling you carried while praying, and the feeling you carried after. There is a law operating beneath every answered prayer. It is not mystical in the sense of being unknowable. It is mystical only in that it works silently, invisibly, and without exception. Your subconscious mind does not judge your words. It does not weigh your worthiness. It accepts the emotional conviction you impress upon it and proceeds to bring that conviction into form. When you pray with doubt, you impress doubt. When you pray with faith, you impress faith. The subconscious does not resist either. It simply reflects what you have accepted as true. And so the question is not whether your prayers are heard. They always are. The question is, what are you truly asking for when you pray? Most people believe that prayer is a petition to something outside themselves. They imagine a distant power that may or may not respond depending on mood, timing, or merit. And so they pray with the tone of begging, hopeful, yes, but uncertain, wishing, but not knowing. This is the misbelief that delays every answer. Prayer is not negotiation. It is not persuasion. It is direction. You are not appealing to a force separate from you. You are impressing upon the infinite intelligence within you, the subconscious mind, which is one with the divine. It does not deliberate. It does not hesitate. It accepts the nature of your inner speech and begins at once to produce conditions that match it. When you say, "I hope this works," you have given the subconscious an instruction rooted in uncertainty, and it faithfully produces more uncertainty. When you say, "Please let this happen," with a trembling heart, you are speaking the language of lack, and lack is what returns to you. The subconscious does not hear your words alone. It feels your belief. Have you noticed how belief changes everything once you feel it deeply? Consider the times you prayed and felt peace, not relief that came later, but peace in the moment of prayer itself, a quiet knowing, a sense that it was already done. In those moments you were not hoping, you were accepting, and because you accepted it inwardly, it had no choice but to manifest outwardly. This is the hidden law. Your subconscious mind is the creative medium through which all prayer is answered. It does not create according to what you want. It creates according to what you feel to be true. If you feel uncertainty, it creates uncertainty. If you feel gratitude for something not yet visible, it moves to make that gratitude justified. You do not need to convince it. You need only to impress it. And the way you impress it is through sustained feeling, not fleeting emotion, but a calm inner acceptance that what you desire is already established in the invisible realm of consciousness and must therefore appear in the visible realm of experience. Most people abandon their prayer the moment they finish speaking it. They return immediately to the mental state they held before, worry, doubt, complaint, and so the subconscious receives two contradictory impressions, one of faith, one of fear. It does not ignore either. It blends them and produces confusion, delay, and frustration. This is why so many prayers seem unanswered. They were answered, but the answer reflected the dominant feeling, not the fleeting wish. Think of a time when you prayed and quietly felt peace. What was different in that moment? You were not rehearsing reasons why it might fail. You were not listing obstacles. You were resting in the certainty that it was done. That rest, that inner Sabbath, is the seal of answered prayer. The law is impersonal. It does not favor one person over another. It simply responds to belief. And belief is not intellectual agreement. It is emotional acceptance. It is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And here is where understanding becomes power. You are not separate from the source of all answered prayer. You are not distant from the infinite creative intelligence that formed the stars and breathes life into every living thing. That same intelligence is within you as your subconscious mind waiting to be directed. It has no will of its own. It has no preference. It does not choose. It reflects. It accepts. It creates. When you pray, you are not sending a message outward into space. You are impressing a pattern inward into mind. And that mind, being infinite, being one with all life, has the power to rearrange circumstances, attract opportunities, dissolve obstacles, and bring into your experience whatever you have accepted as real. This is why faith is not blind hope. Faith is acceptance. It is the inner conviction that what you desire already exists in the realm of consciousness and is now moving into manifestation. You do not create the answer, you accept it. And in accepting it, you allow the subconscious to create it for you. The subconscious is the servant of your belief. You have always had access to this power. You have used it unconsciously all your life. Now you are learning to use it consciously, with faith, with clarity, and with the understanding that prayer is not petition, but acceptance. Let us now speak practically. When you pray, you must pray from the end. This means you do not pray for something to happen. You pray as though it has already happened. You feel the reality of it. You imagine the outcome as present fact, and you dwell in that feeling until it becomes natural to you. If you desire health, you do not say, "Please heal me." You say, I am whole. I am strong. I thank you for this perfect body," and you feel it. You imagine yourself moving freely, breathing deeply, living with vitality. You do not rehearse the illness. You do not describe the symptoms. You turn your attention entirely to the state of health, and you rest there. This is not pretending. This is impressing. The subconscious does not distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. Both produce the same emotional imprint, and it is the imprint, the feeling, that it takes as instruction. When you imagine health and feel relief, the subconscious accepts that relief as evidence of health. It does not argue. It begins to work through every channel available to produce the physical condition that matches the feeling. This is the law. It never fails. Can you sense that quiet certainty within you even now? If you desire financial abundance, you do not beg for money. You imagine the feeling of financial freedom. You picture yourself paying bills with ease, making decisions without fear, giving generously. You feel the peace that comes with sufficiency. You do not focus on lack. You do not recount your debts. You dwell in the feeling of abundance until it becomes familiar, natural, assumed. And as you assume it, the subconscious begins to rearrange your world to reflect it. Opportunities appear. Ideas come. Doors open. Not because you forced them, but because you impressed a pattern of abundance, and the law moved to fulfill it. You are beginning to see how this law never fails. But there is one requirement: persistence in feeling. Most people pray once and return to worry. They affirm abundance once and spend the rest of the day complaining about scarcity. And they wonder why nothing changes. The subconscious does not respond to a single fleeting thought. It responds to habitual feeling. It responds to the dominant emotional tone of your mind. If you affirm wealth for 5 minutes and worry about poverty for 5 hours, the subconscious will produce poverty, not because it ignores your prayer, but because it obeys your dominant belief. This is why you must return to your prayer throughout the day, not with strain, but with gentleness, not with force, but with remembrance. You quietly recall the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You rest in it. You breathe with it. You allow it to become the background of your mind. And as it becomes habitual, it becomes real. There is also the matter of forgiveness. If you carry resentment, bitterness, or unforgiveness, you block the flow of answered prayer, not because the universe punishes you, but because resentment is a feeling of bondage, and bondage cannot coexist with freedom. If you pray for peace while holding hatred, you give the subconscious two opposing instructions. It will produce confusion. Forgiveness is not condoning what was done. It is releasing the emotional charge so that you are free to impress a new pattern. You do not forgive for the other person's sake. You forgive for your own freedom. Say inwardly, I release this person completely. I wish them well. I am free, and they are free. Feel the relief, and return to your prayer with a clean heart. What you accept inwardly, you experience outwardly. Now let us speak of gratitude. Gratitude is the feeling of answered prayer. It is not something you do after you receive. It is something you do now as part of the receiving. When you feel grateful for what you desire before it appears, you impress the subconscious with the feeling of possession, and possession is what it creates. Do not wait for proof. Give thanks now. Feel the joy of fulfillment now, and let that joy be the seal of your prayer. Prayer is not struggle, it is rest. It is not effort, it is acceptance. You do not force the answer. You receive it by feeling its reality before your senses confirm it. This is faith. And faith is imagination directed toward good. You have always had this power. You're using it now. You have used it to create everything in your life, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now you are learning to direct it with intention, with love, and with the understanding that the law responds not to your words, but to your heart. There is no prayer too great for the subconscious to answer. There is no circumstance too difficult for it to transform. It is not limited by time, by space, by resources, or by reason. It moves in ways you cannot see, through channels you cannot predict, to bring about whatever you have accepted as true. Your only task is to impress it clearly, feel it deeply, and rest in the certainty that it is done. The law is perfect. It does not fail. It has never failed. It is operating in your life at this very moment, producing results that match your inner convictions. If you do not like the results, do not blame the law. Change the conviction. Begin again today. Choose one thing you desire. Imagine it as already complete. Feel the joy, the peace, the satisfaction of its fulfillment. Hold that feeling for a few moments. Return to it throughout the day. Do not ask how it will happen. Do not doubt. Simply rest in the knowledge that the subconscious has accepted your prayer and is now moving to fulfill it. You are not alone in this. The infinite intelligence that created all things is within you, as you, working through you. Trust it, rest in it, and let your prayers be not words spoken into emptiness, but feelings impressed into the creative mind that never sleeps, never doubts, and never fails to answer. It is done.